So I've certainly never labeled myself to be an outdoorsman. I think if you ever thought that about me, you were incorrect, sorry. I like my bed, I like to shower, I like putting on clean clothes, feeling fresh. I don't really like snakes or spiders. I think they're kind of creepy. They could be crawling on you. I'll stop. And in Texas, we had these things called fire ants. And I just don't understand it, God. Like, I'll ask him one day, what in the world were you thinking when you created the fire ants? And I sleep better at home, hooked up to a machine. It helps me breathe. Nature, not really just that outdoorsy. But at the same time, I think nature is super cool. I actually love it. And if you've got a day trip, something we can do and be back home, I'm all for it. I think it's cool. I really do. Seeing a sunrise, seeing a sunset is beautiful. To just see what God is capable of. And you know what? Animals are pretty amazing too. Megan and I have a cat and a German Shepherd, and they've got qualities. But a lion and a tiger, those are just cool. Like the size of the paws or the teeth, like that God created an animal so special. And I don't really want to touch it or pet it. I can watch a documentary and see how cool it is. I don't need to, have one in my backyard or anything. And my favorite animal is a whale. Just because they're huge. Like, I can't believe that God could make something so unique, so big. And maybe you're like me, or maybe you're an outdoorsman and you just absolutely love it. Maybe you're like me and you're But you can see what God is capable of. You can appreciate it. You can take time, maybe for a brief moment, to see what God has created and embrace it. You can see his incredible ability. You can see his nature so present in his creation. That he had a plan, that he thought of everything, that he's good. Even if he created fire ants. There's no denying that God is wonderful. I've stood atop a summit and looked down for what looks like forever. And I felt so small in God's grand scheme of things. But that's not how God sees me. God sees me as everything. God sees you as everything. Everything enough that he sent Jesus for you and for me. He sent his son. So whether we feel small, maybe sometimes you feel big, the outdoors can kind of give us that perspective and remind us just of what God is. And the reason I'm talking to you about nature and I guess my thoughts and feelings about it is because this week I'm going for it. All in outdoorsman headed to Rainforest Falls. It's going to be pretty sweet. I can almost guarantee there will be some incredible stuff that takes place this week. I definitely know that God is going to be at work here at St. John's. And again, I'm not super outdoorsy, so I don't really know too much about the rainforest. But I did look up some facts. Did you know that the rainforest takes up about 10% of the Earth's land? Yet contains over half of the known species on Earth. Small footprint, major impact. It's pretty cool. Or that sloths only come down from their tree about once a week to go to the restroom. You probably didn't expect to be hearing that. This one terrified me. Jaguars are excellent swimmers, and that seems completely unfair. But if you're swimming in the rainforest, you've got a lot more problems probably than just a jaguar that can swim. So this week we're going to dive into rainforest trivia. I'm going to give the kids all these facts that they didn't know. They don't need to know, but they're gonna. We're also going to dive even deeper into the nature of God. God the Creator. The God that knows everything. The God who is our safe place when life feels scary. The God who loves unconditionally. And the God who is forever. And that's what I think is so awesome about VBS. We've got 120 kids registered this year, which is an incredible high amount compared to where we've been in years past. 240 ears will be here starting tomorrow. And maybe they've heard that God created them with a purpose. Maybe they've heard that God knows every single thing about them and still loves them. Maybe they've heard that God isn't going anywhere, ever. Or maybe they haven't. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Banners that we've got hanging up in our sanctuary for a large part of the year. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord to send workers into the field, into his field. We just heard that from Matthew 9. The harvest is plentiful. And in this season in my life, I have really, really grown to appreciate, to understand, to embrace what children's ministry is. With 2 kids under 6, it's a task to teach them about Jesus. It's a priority in our house. It's one of those things that we do every day. But that doesn't mean it's hard. That doesn't mean it's easy. It's difficult to teach with words, but also to show with action, and then realize that my action is not that good often. It's tough. And then children's church happens. And then Sunday afternoon, we're at home, and the boys are sharing a story that they heard in children's church, and now we're talking about Jesus, and I'm not talking, they're talking. And I'm learning from them. And I'm seeing who Jesus is through their eyes. And it's sweet. And then VBS comes around. And Miles is beyond hyped up right now for VBS. He's not feeling too good. Hopefully he doesn't have to miss too much of it. But he's excited to play, to snack, to worship. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. And it's awesome. It's a blessing to parents. It's a blessing to the kids. It's a blessing to me to be able to be a part of it, but also that my kids get to be a part of it. And to make it possible, we've got 40 volunteers that are ready to dive right in to Rainforest Falls. And yes, you'll get one. To make it possible, they asked the Lord, hey, send me. I'm here. I'm ready. And now we're going into the field. You know what else is really cool about VBS and rainforests is that rainforests have these massive trees. You guys are probably familiar with that these trees at the top form this canopy. And the canopy makes it really, really difficult for light to get through. It's estimated that only 2% on average of the direct light towards the rainforest gets through to the bottom. Makes it sound like what's underneath the canopy could be really crazy, maybe dead, but it's not. It's full of life. It's beautiful. I told you guys earlier that over 50% of the world's known species are in the rainforests, yet there's not much light that gets down there. And I think it sounds familiar to our lives too, is that there's people around us that are full of life. They're not bad people. They're not hopeless. They're kind of like rainforests. They're beautiful. They're full of life. But there's also fear and loneliness. There's pressure and confusion. There's hurt, loss, and all of these things that God's light sometimes has a hard time getting through. But in God's nature, it doesn't say he's a quitter. So what does he do? He finds a way. He sends people and he says, go. Go be the light. Not that we're the light, not that you're the light, but that we bring the one who is the light, that we bring Jesus to those people, to our friends, to our family, to our coworkers, beneath the canopy. That we're boots on the ground. And VBS is definitely an opportunity for us to be boots on the ground. And those boots will be stomping come tomorrow morning. It's going to be loud in here. It's going to be wild, and it's going to be awesome. But VBS isn't just an opportunity for us to be boots on the ground in the camper's life. While that's a huge part of it, it's also an opportunity for us to prepare these campers to be boots on the ground in their homes, on their sports teams, when school's back in session, in their classrooms, in their neighborhoods. The canopy can seem super thick, really thick at times, where it feels like the light just isn't gonna reach. But God's nature doesn't give up. God's nature makes a way. God's nature keeps his promises. And just like it was his nature to send Jesus for you and for me, it's his nature to prepare you to be sent to others. It's his nature to make sure that light passes through the canopy to ensure life continues to grow. So let's adventure to this rainforest. You guys might not all be adventuring to Rainforest Falls this week, but we got rainforests in our life. And God is inviting you to adventure below the canopy, to see the beauty that he has created, to share the light that he has given you. You have so freely received the love of Christ in your life. Now it's time to share that. So let's walk under the canopy, knowing that God will never leave us on our own, walking confidently in that love, that unfailing love, because there's life under the canopy, and we just got to check it out. The harvest is plentiful, the workers are few. Ask the Lord to send workers into his field. Amen.